let's dive into first base. So Alex Spear coming out with this article, I believe it was last night, yesterday afternoon. Don't remember the exact time, but, kind of talking about Abraham Toro, Romy Gonzalez, the dynamic duo at first base ever since they took over for Tristan Casas, who went down at the beginning of May. These guys have been doing a great job overall. And actually, we can take a look at the numbers here. Since Tristan Casas went down, the Red Sox, they ranked 12th overall in WRC Plus with a 114. It's been a solid platoon. Romy Gonzalez, he's been amazing, hitting 307 with a 344 on base, 547 on the slugging, a 136 WRC Plus. This guy's been mashing lefties. I love me some Romy Gonzalez. And then Abraham Toro, he's been a pleasant surprise. He just came out of nowhere in spring training. This guy's been trying to find his way for the last couple of years, and he's really stepped up for the Red Sox this year. Pretty solid numbers overall. Hitting 280, a 330 on base, a 425 on the slugging, a 104 WRC Plus, right around league average. However, it's been a bit of a different tune as of late over the last month. Now, Romy, he's been red hot. He's got a 163 WRC Plus over the last 30 days. But Abraham Toro here, as you can see, a bit of a different story for Mr. Toro. Now, he's hitting 273. Not bad. 355 on base. That's pretty solid as well. But you look at the slugging. 318, WRC Plus, 87. At first base, you want a bit more damage, right? You want guys that are just going to be able to do more for you. Especially Abraham Toro, the lefty bat, who's going to be seeing just the majority of the playing time because he's a lefty hitter going up against the right-handed pitchers. So you do need, in my opinion, a bit of an upgrade here. Again, he does a good job of getting the bat on the ball. He gets on base, but when it comes to driving in the runs, getting more bases, you do want a bit of an upgrade there. Now, if they end up making a move, I'm not sure what happens to Toro at that point. Could he be a guy off the bench? I don't know. Could he accept an assignment down to AAA? I don't know what would happen there, right? But numbers-wise, there is definitely an argument for an upgrade here. Now, Alex Spear diving into a few possibilities at first base. Talks about the Diamondbacks in this article. Now, with the Diamondbacks, it's a little weird right now, right? Because they're just hovering around 500. They just can't fully get themselves thrusted into being in that serious postseason contender mode. Who knows? Maybe they do a Detroit Tigers from last year and they just get red hot in the second half. And that's very possible, right? I mean, they still have a lot of talent on that team. So I'm interested to see what the Diamondbacks end up doing. I think they could go a few different routes. Obviously, they could just sell, right? These expiring contracts, Josh Naylor, Zach Gallen, Merrill Kelly, Eugenio Suarez. They could definitely go that route. Or maybe they go a bit of more of a soft sell, or maybe they trade maybe a couple of those guys, right? Hang on to a couple of them, try to compete in the second half. I could see them moving Eugenio Suarez either way because they have Jordan Lawler, one of the higher ranked prospects in the game. He can take over at third base. So I could see him getting moved regardless. Zach Gallen, he's been very up and down this year. So I don't know. Are they going to get what they think is fair value for him? He would be a rental. You wouldn't get much to begin with, right? You're not going to be getting, a top 10 prospect in the game, obviously, but I don't know, because he's been so up and down, how much are you actually going to get for him? Merrill Kelly, I could see them getting a lot more for him because he has been solid this year. But Josh Naylor, he's interesting. I could see a scenario where they move him or trade him. I could see that going either way. He would be a great fit for the Red Sox, in my opinion. Taking a look at the numbers. Hit 293, 362 on base, 452 on the slugging, a 125 WRC plus. Now with Naylor, when you're taking a look at the advanced metrics here, the batted ball data, it's not jumping off the page, right? With Naylor, what you're going to see more of, good plate discipline. He's not really going to strike out. He's going to make a ton of contact, and he's going to get a decent amount of walks. 63rd percentile when it comes to the walks. You're going to get a pretty high energy player as well. This is a guy that, he's had a personality, right, over the last couple of years. You remember the cradle the baby thing with Garrett Cole. He gets into those high energy kind of situations, right? We saw it in the postseason. Josh Naylor, I feel like he wouldn't be the same thing as Kyle Schwarber, but he would bring a bit of a personality. Not saying the Red Sox don't have any of that, but he would just bring a little extra juice, a little extra mojo to the clubhouse as well. But then you got Ryan O'Hearn. He's having a career year. Unfortunately, on a bad Orioles team this year, hitting 278 on base, a 373, very good. 451 on the slugging, a 133 WRC plus. Now with O'Hearn, you're going to see a good amount of Reds mixed in all over the place here, right? Good expected numbers, good exit velo. He's not going to strike out too much. He's going to walk a good amount. He squares up very well. So you are going to see better batted ball data with Ryan O'Hearn. And I wonder if the Red Sox would prefer that. The Red Sox, they like their exit velo. They like these guys that can absolutely bang, right? So I wonder if that would be more of a preference for them, because he also comes along with some good plate discipline as well. Along with being a rental, he's going to cost you something, but he's not going to break the bank when it comes to giving up prospects. Now, there's also Yandy Diaz, who's been popping up here, right? He mentioned Yandy in this article as well. And let's actually go back here to the article. Let's read this part. There have been rumblings that the Rays could consider dealing Yandy. And it's endlessly fascinating to imagine a scenario in which Tampa Bay packages Diaz, who is signed through next season, and a starting pitcher such as Taj Bradley or Shane Baz for a Sox outfielder such as Wilyer Abreu. But such a scenario is seen by multiple major league sources as extremely unlikely, with a deal of such magnitude seen as a near impossibility for division rivals who are competing for a postseason berth. So yeah, I don't see that. It's already hard to imagine, the Rays being in contention dealing Yandy in division. That sounds a little weird to me. Ryan O'Hearn, that's a little different because the Orioles are out of it. And also, another thing to mention with O'Hearn, he has that American League East experience. So that's another reason why I think the Red Sox would really like him. But with Yandy, the Rays are trying to compete. So I don't see them moving Yandy to the Red Sox. That just feels weird. Especially moving Taj Bradley. Like, where's this coming from? Taj Bradley has been popping up in the rumor mill a little bit over the last week because he would bring back a really good return, and they have Shane McClanahan coming back. So I could see them listening on Bradley or Baz as well. That's something the Rays, they like to do that as well, right? They really like to sell high, especially when they have multiple years of control. We've seen them do that in the past. But I don't see the Rays trading Taj Bradley or Shane Baz in the division, not especially when they're in contention. And I don't see the Red Sox wanting to move Wilyer Abreu, especially in division. That just makes no sense. This part of the article just feels weird to me. Maybe Yandy on his own. I don't see it. So to me, I would think if you're going after a first baseman, I'm looking at Josh Naylor or Ryan O'Hearn. However, those are rentals. Alex Spear does mention another option. I think this is unlikely, but it's interesting. He says here, the A's merit watching both because they're one of the few teams without realistic hopes of contending this season, and because they have a surplus of first baseman / left field / DH bats in 22-year-old rookie masher Nick Kurtz, longtime DH corner outfielder Brent Rooker, and first baseman / corner outfielder Tyler Soderstrom. He goes on to say they're not going to move Kurtz, they're not going to move Rooker. I remember when we were dreaming about Brent Rooker last year? I was really hoping the Red Sox get their hands on him. But he says Soderstrom is seen across the industry as a potential trade target with 4 remaining years of team control after 2025. I never thought the A's would even consider moving him, to be completely honest. Now, looking at Soderstrom, very good numbers overall. Hitting 258, 333 on base, 449 on the slugging, a 115 WRC plus, 18 homers. Multiple years of control. He's not a free agent until after 2029. Very cheap. I could totally see teams out there liking Tyler Soderstrom. But here's the thing. I mean, I don't know. I don't see really why because he mentions in the article they have a surplus. I don't know. I mean, if Soderstrom can go out and play left field, you have Kurtz at first base, and then Rookers or DH. I don't really look at that as a surplus. I look at the Red Sox outfield situation as a surplus, right? With Yoshida involved, obviously. So, unless I'm missing something, to me, I don't really see, if you're the A's, why you would have to move Soderstrom at this point, unless I'm going completely blank. I mean, I know you got J.J. Bleday. They moved him back down to AAA recently. He wasn't really doing anything. So, again, I don't see the need to move Soderstrom. I mean, that could be interesting. If you were to acquire Soderstrom, that would signal the end of Tristan Casas in Boston at that point. I mean, he'd be a great bat to have. I mean, of course. I mean, if we were to take a look here at Soderstrom when it comes to the metrics here on StatCast, I mean, you're seeing a good amount of Reds as well. I mean, this guy, he hits the crap out of the ball. Good batted ball data. I mean, you can still see an improvement when it comes to the plate discipline. There's a decent amount of swing and miss. He does chase a little often, strikes out a decent amount. He's middle of the road when it comes to the walks. But yeah, I don't see why the A's would move him. I mean, this is a team that, again, just because a team is out of it doesn't mean they're just going to sell off all these guys. I could see a situation where if they move Soderstrom, that could help them get back some pitching. Maybe you could see a scenario like that. I wouldn't completely rule it out because he would bring back decent value. I do think the A's, they need to beef up the pitching a little bit. Do they move Severino? He hasn't pitched well in Sacramento at their home ballpark there. He's been open about, not really enjoying pitching there. He's been a lot better on the road. If they moved him, I mean, they could definitely save some money. They wouldn't have to pay him. Remember, they had to sign Severino not Severino exactly, but they had to sign someone this past offseason, or the Players Association, they were going to file a grievance because they were moving and, they need to go out there and spend some money, basically. So I could see Severino getting moved. You got Jeffrey Springs, who's under control. You got JP Sears, you got Ginn. You got Gage Jump down in the minor leagues as well. They have a couple of decent pitching prospects there, but I feel like they really need to beef up the pitching more. So if they could get back a pitcher in return for Soderstrom, that's cost controlled. Maybe. Now, if we were to look at a scenario with the Red Sox and the A's, I mean, you could definitely do it. And I feel like this is the sweet spot on where the Red Sox would like to deal. As of right now, he has a surplus value, I'd say a surplus median value of right around $25 million. So that's going to be a couple of decent prospects. That's going to be, maybe even a few. Now, the first names that come to mind to me, you could do the password, Yo Stinson, and Connolly Early, right? That really puts you in that ballpark. If you were to get a deal done, they'd get a bat in return in Garcia, who's very close to Major League ready, so he could be their next guy up for next year. And then you get a pitcher in Connolly Early. So again, it's kind of like that sweet spot where the Red Sox, they're not having to, give up someone. I mean, I guess you could talk about Franklin Arias, but I don't think you would have to. Peyton Tolley, I don't think is going to be in any conversations. Brandon Clark, I would imagine the Red Sox would like to hang on to him. But could you do someone like Early, who's really done well this past year? The password, who is a bit blocked at this point. Could you do something like that? Maybe something with David Sandlin. I think there are possibilities if they were to explore this route. I just wonder about the motivation from the A's point of view. That's where I'm at personally. So we'll see. Again, he did mention it in the article, saying people across the industry do see him as a potential trade target. We'll see. I think the A's, they would have to be enamored with a deal to get a deal done.